One, so we check in Abu Dhabi with Kevin Ioli. You look like you're at the end of a long day. Weigh-ins today. What was the weigh-in like? It looked like an interesting scene at a mall.
Yeah, it was at the Marina Mall here in Abu Dhabi, and a lot of people showed up for that festive atmosphere. I think it's going to be a good crowd on Saturday night. I mean, the people here seem like they know MMA. The newspaper coverage is, typical MMA coverage and not, kind of some of the over-the-top stuff that we see in some places. So, I think they have a lot to learn. I think it's more of a jiu-jitsu town than it is an MMA town, but I certainly think that there are a lot of people that are interested to see the fights, and people are coming in from all over.
I thought it was interesting, you talk about their knowledge in jiu-jitsu. I thought it was interesting to hear some fans booing Matt Hughes.
Well, it was just the fact that Matt was saying, Renzo Gracie is the favorite, and he lives here in Abu Dhabi part of the year. He trains to Sheikh Tanhoun, who is now a 10% owner of the UFC, and Matt's just talking about knowing that he's not going to be the crowd favorite tomorrow. It's going to be one of the few times in his career that that's been the case.
All right, well, let's break down some of these fights. Let's go to the main card and start with that fight. So what do you think is going to happen? When I saw Gracie at the weigh-in, I thought, he looked like the slightly bigger fighter, which rarely happens with Matt Hughes. But from a strength standpoint, youth standpoint, is Matt Hughes just going to kind of roll over him?
I like Matt Hughes in the fight, but part of it is, we don't have a lot to go on with Renzo Gracie recently. Where is he at in his career? And it's really hard to know. Where Matt Hughes is. I mean, he's certainly not where he was when he was at his peak as the UFC's welterweight champion, but he's still a very credible welterweight, a very big, strong guy for 170, and a guy that I think can win this fight. Renzo Gracie, certainly has the style to beat Matt Hughes. The question is, does he have much left? And we haven't seen evidence of that in the last couple of years. So I'll go with Matt Hughes.
I'm really high on Terry Edom. Where do you have Edom? I just, I like the build. I think he's got a good skill set. He's, 6 foot, 6'1". You can see the size difference with him and Dos Anjos. I actually think he might be the best British prospect out there.
I think Edom is really good submissions. A guy that has a lot of variety in this game, and I like him in this fight too. I think Edom wins this fight, and I think he wins it by submission.
Interest in the Munoz and Grove fight. What do you think of that one? Obviously, again, stylistic. Grove, the tall striker type, doesn't want to go to the ground. Munoz wants to wrestle.
I'm going to go with Kendall Grove in this one, Steve. I just think Kendall's a little more experienced, has a little more variety to his game. I've been, frankly, a little bit disappointed with Mark Munoz and what I've seen in him. Now he's coming down. We'll see how he does at 185 on a consistent basis. But I was disappointed with him a couple of fights. Don't see the overall growth in his game. I think because of his wrestling base and because he's so good as a wrestler, you can expect that he'll make some improvement. But I think right now, as they stand, Kendall Grove is the better fighter.
Forward to seeing. I found it interesting. You had a heavyweight pull off the T-shirt weigh-in with John Madsen.
I know you've been a big fan of John Madsen ever since he was on Tough, haven't you?
I actually do like him, and the thing is, he's a bad body guy. He's 6 foot and like 250 pounds, but I found it interesting. He didn't want to show off the ample gut and had the T-shirt. Fight of the night candidate on the non-televised portion could be Ochipinti and Story. Story always brings it, and Ochipinti is more of a striker.
Yeah, I like Rick Story a lot. I think Rick Story is a pretty good fighter, and I agree with you. I think this will be a very good test for Nick Ochipinti. I'm going to go with Rick Story. I think he's an incredibly strong guy. He reminds me in a way of Matt Hughes from, Matt Hughes' heyday. I mean, he's a really strong guy. When he gets on top and he's punny, you're in a place you don't want to be. And so, Ochipinti, impressive guy with with the way he's been able to handle things and his striking and punching power. But I'm going to go with Rick Story in that one.
I think we're all excited to see Phil Davis in his second go-around, see what he's added to his game.
I am too, and I mean he's fighting Alex Gustafsson, who is a striker. I don't know a lot about Alex. I only saw him fight the one time. I believe that was at UFC 95. Still have some to learn about him. I think Phil Davis, he is a future star. I mean, he's far from finished right now. He's doesn't have much of a ground game. He jokes around and calls himself a really, really good white belt. He's got a ways to go before he on the ground. And I think he has a ways to go before he's really a striker. But he's a great wrestler. He's a great athlete, got a lot of quickness, and he picks things up, and you can see improvement in him. So, I like Phil Davis in this fight, and I like Phil Davis as a prospect to watch. I mean, I think with him and John Jones is way, 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 way more advanced. But I think with him and John Jones, they have two young 205-pounders that are going to be around a long time.
All right, let's get back to the main card and the two big fights. You got two guys defending their belts in BJ Penn and Anderson Silva. Is the only way these guys lose this fight if they're looking ahead, if they're looking past the fight, or do Maia and Edgar really have a chance?
Well, I think a little different in each fight, Steve. In the Frankie Edgar BJ Penn fight, I like BJ Penn. I'm going to pick BJ Penn. I have BJ as one of the top fighters in the world, and I think that he's overall a little bit better than Frankie Edgar is. That said, I think Edgar has improved greatly. You look at his destruction of Sean Shirk. He brought Phil Nurse in to work with him on his Muay Thai, and Phil Nurse said he can't believe how smart Frankie Edgar is, and he said that he can't believe the way that Frankie Edgar can adjust to things. You tell him he made a mistake, and boom, he's got it fixed. So, I think Frankie, it wouldn't be a shock if he won. I mean, I'm expecting BJ, and I think BJ is a solid favorite. But Frankie does have a very solid overall game, and I give him a shot to win the fight. He is more competitive in his fight against BJ, I think, than Demian Maia is against Anderson Silva.
So what do you think happens with Silva? Why doesn't Maia have a great chance?
Well, he has to get the fight to the ground, and he doesn't have the kind of wrestling skills. He doesn't really take guys down a lot, and I think Anderson has, got pretty good takedown defense. I mean, he's certainly not BJ Penn when it comes to takedown defense, but, Anderson, the only guy that I can remember that really easily took Anderson Silva down was Dan Henderson. Travis Lutter got him down, but not a lot of guys get Anderson Silva down on the ground. Anderson's got that long body, those long legs, long arms, he can kick, he can strike, and I just think Anderson Silva is has a better overall game and has he matches up very well with Demian Maia. If they get to the ground, I'll tell you what, it's going to be interesting because Demian Maia, his submissions. I mean, I think he's the best jiu-jitsu guy that Anderson Silva's ever fought, and even though Anderson's a black belt, I don't think he's anywhere near Demian's league. So, that's where you would have a chance for the upset, but I think it would be an upset if it got to the ground.
All right, Kev. Well, fight night is upon us. It's fight day out here on the West Coast because it's going to air at 10 o'clock live and then 1 o'clock East Coast in the afternoon. How are you getting over there? Are you going to take the camel over to the arena?
I'm going to hop on a camel, see if I can get a one-hump camel as opposed to a two-hump and get...
Hopefully the camel likes you because we had Tracy Lee, who's doing some photos for Yahoo, catch Brad Blackburn riding a camel, and the camel was hissing and was not cooperative.
I think I may go over to see the camels tomorrow morning. It's right now. It's in the middle of the night here right now, but when it gets light, I might go over check out the. I won't dare get on one because if the camel was mad at Brad Blackburn, I can only imagine what it would be if I got on. But I'm going to go over and see if I can get a picture taken with a camel. I had a picture with a koala bear in Australia, so we'll see if we can get a camel here.
Very nice. All right, thanks, Kev. We appreciate it.